Hello, friends. I hope you all are doing good. So, let's discuss the article. Uh, as Beyond Mudro, why Delhi has a new window of opportunity in the region. So, this is the topic related to Venezuela, where president captured by U.S. military. So, what is the opportunity for India? This is article by Raja Mandala. C. Raja Mohan. Okay. Donald Trump's decision to seize and whisk away Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to a New York prison over the weekend will go down as one of the more audacious US intervention in Latin America and beyond. The US president's strategy this time seems less about regime change but more about regime seduction. If this plan to co-opt the rest of Maduro establishments succeed, it could unleash lasting geopolitical consequences. So he is suggesting that the President Trump's strategy is like seems less about regime change and more about regime seduction. So he want to rule. For India, this is a good a moment, as any said the prolonged neglect of Latin America. Delhi's official reaction against the US intervention has been criticized as too timid in comparison to the statements from the BRICS partner. Delhi's cushion could well be vindicated if interim president Delcy Rodriguez's tentative offer to cooperate with Washington leads to a new relationship between Venezuela and US. The talks between Maduro establishment and US are not new. The Biden administration sought to be befriend Maduro after 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine in order to bring Venezuela oil into the global market strained by Western sanctions against Moscow. In the past few weeks, there have been continuous negotiations between Maduro and Washington's, but they are unsuccessful in the end. It remains to be seen if Washington and Caracas can now negotiate a sustainable arrangement in the coming days. So they are talking about whatever happened previously. Even Biden also tried to do the that work where try to sell Venezuela oil in the into global market, but because of sanction against Moscow, so they have to make sanction on it. And this is a like kind of background war we are in right now. A strategic reorientation of post-Maduro Venezuela, long the hub of anti-American activity in the region backed by Cuba, Iran, Russia and China. So मतलब उन्होंने क्या आरोप लगाया कि ये एंटी अमेरिकन चल रहा था, जो भी बैकग्राउंड में वहाँ पर हो रहा था, क्यूबा, ईरान, रशिया और चाइना, ये जो है एंटी यूएस का काम कर रहे हैं, वुड मार्क ए ड्रामेटिक चेंज इन द रीजन्स जियो पॉलिटिक्स थ्री लेवल्स: द रीअसरेशन ऑफ अमेरिका डोमिनेंस ओवर लेटिन अमेरिका, एन एक्सेलरेशन ऑफ rightward political drift across a content long shaped by left-wing populism and criminal mafias, and a direct challenge to Cuban, रशियन एंड चाइनीस एम्बिशंस इन लैटिन अमेरिका. तो ये जो भी चाइना, रशिया और क्यूबा जो जो चाह रहे थे उसके ऊपर कहीं ना कहीं हमला, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं इन लोगों को लेफ्टिस्ट मानसिकता वाले लोग कहा जाता है. Critics at home have asked why India did not speak more forcefully against an American action that violated international law. But India showed similar restraint after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 and during the US and Israel strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. During the Cold War, India routinely condemned Western intervention while glossing over Soviet ones, reflecting its alignment with Moscow. Today's India is sparing in moral sermons directed at major partner. Delhi no longer entertains an innocent belief in the magical powers of international law. It is only on Chinese violation of sovereignty that India speaks of international norms. After all, India is an is at the receiving end of Beijing territorial expansionism. Venezuela, in contrast, is distant from India's core strategic concerns. So he is talking about why India is not speak. So he giving example between when the war started between Russia and Ukraine. So India taken the same stance. And one more thing is like because at the time of Cold War and Soviet ones, India was supported by Moscow. So this is the one of the reason. And India is in a condition like where like he has to think about himself first. After that he will take any decision. So accordingly they will think and react in this situation. Okay, so there is another factor reinforcing Delhi's restraint. India does not have much skin in the Latin American game. So वहाँ पर ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि इंडिया का कोई वहाँ पर ज़्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट भी नहीं है, वो देश बहुत ज़्यादा डिस्टेंस पर है, और भारत इंटरनेशनल लॉस में ज़्यादा बिलीव करता नहीं है, वो कभी कभी बोलता भी है तो जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ चाइनास जो एक्सपेंशनिज्म है उसके अगेंस्ट में उसका यूज़ करता है. बट इट इज़ ए इंटरनेशनली डिवाइडेड एंड सो इज़ लेटिन America as a whole. While Brazil's president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has condemned the US operation. उन्होंने ब्राज़ील के प्रेसिडेंट हैं, उनका जो डी सिल्वा नाम है, उन्होंने इसको अपोज किया है. हिज अपोनेंट एट होम हैव वेलकम्ड इट, और वहाँ की विपक्षी पार्टी ने भी उसका सहयोग किया है. मैनी कंजर्वेटिव पार्टीज अक्रॉस लैटिन अमेरिका हैव सपोर्टेड मदुरोस आउस्टर फ्रॉम पावर इन Caracas. Over the decades, Russia, and one more important thing, that was a dictatorship government. That was not a government chosen by the people of the Venezuela. So people are happy. Venezuelan people are happy. Over the decade, Russia and China have invested big in the Maduro's regime as part of the over the decade, Russia and China have invested big in Maduro regime as part of their broader effort to contest US primacy in the Western Hemisphere and herald a post-American order in the world. India has never identified with these objectives, despite in general rhetoric about multipolar world. After all, the US is India's most important partner, and Delhi's real focus has been building multipolar Asia or limiting China's dominance in Asia. So India has his own ambition, and China and Russia has their own ambition, right? Yet to treat Venezuela merely as a distant spectacle would be a mistake. For decades, Indian foreign policy had its priorities, instance focus on the immediate neighborhood, the extended neighborhood, and great powers. Latin American and Africa have remained marginal to the Indian diplomat effort, notwithstanding the episode engagement. That neglect is no longer sensible. The years of Trump tariffs has forced India to diversify its export market. In the quest, Latin America, with its combined GDP of around 5.5 trillion and population exceeds 650 million, remains an underexplored commercial territory. So India's annual bilateral trade with the region is underwhelming at $45 billion. Any comparison with Beijing is unfair, but the fact that China's trade with the region stands at about 500 billion and the city-state of Singapore does as much trade with Latin America as India. Trump's revival of a muscular modern doctrine, now shaped by what his national security strategy called Trump corollary, is aimed squarely at curbing China's economic influence in the region as the US pressure Latin American states to rethink their dependence on Chinese capital. technology and market. Many in the region will seek diversification rather than simple substitution. India will have a lot of room to explore wide ranging commercial opportunities in the region. In the end, there is no escaping in India's celebrated internationalism has remained superficial in Latin America. Although Rabindranath Tagore visited Argentina more than a century ago in 1924, India's engagement with the region has remained shallow. Roads in Delhi named after South American heroes like Simon Bolivar and Jose San Martin coexist with a striking lack of political literacy about Latin American history, economics, and society among Indian elites. The past fa- fiscal fictions and with Fidel Castro or Che Guevara produced more posters and t-shirts than purposeful policies. High-level Indian political visits remain infrequent, commercial diplomacy thin, and institutional presence limited. So, as South America enters a new political phase shaped by deep internal churn and restricted great powers relation. India must think to deepen the widen its own footprint in the region. Telling its BRICS partner is not much of a strategy. Delhi needs sustained political attention and targeted trade diplomacy in the region. Above all, India needs a serious effort to understand the region on its own. The writer is contributing editor on international affairs for the Indian Express. So this is the article by the Indian Express, and wonderful article. This is give you the background what is happening right now between their US, China, and US, China, and Russia. This is the they are the three main superpower. They are trying to, you know, gain. Trying to show their power in the region of Latin America, but right now Trump has done his work. Let's see what will happen in future, and we will try to understand that. Thank you. Have a nice day.